welcome back, guys. Today we are tearing apart all my switches and we are going to reorganize everything, and we are going to custom fabricate a panel to fit up top here where these fans are. And this is the first step. I've taken some measurements. I've cut this to roughly the size, and here I am fitting it. We're going to put all our switches and controls are going to be up on this panel up here. We just have to fine tune it and then cut a bunch of holes for everything. Here we have two sets of switch panels. There's 6 on each, and we are going to use the rubber grommet that comes with it as the template. We're going to mark that out and then drill holes and cut that space out. We are also adding in this cigarette lighter plug to the mix as well. I have a metal drill bit, so that should be pretty easy to do. Need a little more elbow room, so let's take this outside. Okay, that was the easy part, I promise. Now I've drilled 2 pilot holes where I need to put the saw in here to start cutting out these oblong shapes. And after the fact, I realized that I should have used the round drill bit that I used for the other hole. I should have used that on each end of these oval slots and then just did a straight cut in the middle. It would have been so much easier than the way I'm doing it here. Doing it this way was so much more work, I swear. Okay, 5 million years later, I've got those holes cut, and we're hitting it with a hammer just to take down any sharp edges, front and back, and then if I need to, I'll file any spaces that need to, but I think that's good enough. So we're gonna go ahead and fit the components in and see how everything comes together. There you have it. Those drop in nicely, almost like a glove. Now we have 3 other switches, and these are the exterior light switches taken out of the old control panel, and we're going to put them at the end by the door. We'll group those together over there. Just looking for the right size hole drill for that, and that's not it. Try another. If you're not familiar with it, this is also called a metal hole saw, but it technically is a drill bit. We're now taking this outside and we're going to work on those 3 holes that we need for the switches. And after, we will come back and size them, see if it fits. And no, it does not. It is just too small. So now we're going to get our step drill bit out. And we're going to make the hole just a little bit bigger. And we're going to do the same thing for all 3 of those switches. Here the 3 holes are done. We're just double checking the switch to make sure that all 3 are correct. This is a quick look at the original control panel that was right at the back door. That's the back side and that's the front. And again, you can't access these and get your hands in there unless it is open. And now we're doing this here, everything in a row, nice and shiny. You can see what the switches look like. Everything is there on the back. And these 6 switches come pre-wired to all be on the same circuit, which is fine if you are running everything off of relays. If not, you've only got like 25, 30 amps on each of these 6. So that's 5 amps each. So if you're going to leave the wiring the way it is, you don't have a lot of electrical capacity on these. So we are going to go ahead and cut these so we can run them individually because we're not using solenoids. We're not doing anything high amperage. This is all going to be for LED lights and things like that. So we don't need to use relays, but you can do that. But this here, it will just be individual switches to control little things, nothing high powered. So this works for that. Again, if you watch this and you say, oh, just use relays, yes, you can do that. But this 18 gauge wire is not going to power high powered things. So you can use relays, or you will just cut these like we're getting ready to do right now. You can look, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you see the red wire looping. We are actually going to group these in pairs, so each power supply will control 2 switches. And we're just going to cut it here as close to the base as we can. And this new loop that we're cutting out becomes our next power lead. This wire right here, that's going to go to a fuse into the power mains. And that's really all there is to it. We are now stripping these leads, and again, these will go to a fuse block where we will have all the fuses will be together, and that'll be more accessible. This is going up into the ceiling and is not going to be easily accessible for servicing, so the fuses will be put in a more convenient location closer to the battery. You also look and see we've hot glued where the fittings and things snap together. We've put a little bit of hot glue in there to give a little extra added security, since this is bouncing around in a vehicle. The middle post you see there is your positive lead coming out of the switch. You might also notice in this that the metal is black. We did hit it with a coat of paint and a little bit of paint on the backside. Probably could have painted it a little better, but good enough for now. Nothing is completely fastened in. I can always take it apart and give it a little extra paint if we need, but it will be black. If you notice, my finger is now red. I had to stop for about half an hour. I sliced myself up pretty good on the sharp edge on this metal and had to go bandage myself up and wait for the blood to stop bleeding, and then come back and get on it again. But you haven't worked if you haven't bled. Here we are crimping the wire nuts on. Now you can come in through here and do the same exact thing that we just did with your negatives and run all your negatives to your negative bus bar as well. But that's not on the video. These connectors we're sticking on will go down to the fuses into the bus bar. If you look at this on the left-hand side, you can see we've added 2 small fuse blocks. But this is all the messy, crazy wiring that's going to go up into the ceiling. Okay guys, I'm going to turn this camera around. I'm going to walk you through the finished product on all these control panels and talk about that for a minute. Don't forget to hit the bell, like, subscribe, share, and those fun things. And join me on my next project. Join me on my next adventure. And let's turn this around, and I'll see you guys down the road. Okay, so this control panel was mounted here at the back door. And the problem is when this is closed, you can't access it from inside. So we've put the control panel is now here. You've got switches for lighting. You've got all your switches there, your cigarette type plug, everything mounted up top. I do want to clean up the wires back behind here, behind that charge controller a little bit, and figure better utilization of that space. That'll be in a future project somewhere. But this right here, the bed is here and that's up here, so if you're rolling over, you're not going to accidentally hit any switches, you're not going to bump into anything. And when the door is closed and you're inside, you're just not around any corners to where you need to access anything crazy. So this right here, that's the finished product. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything like that, go ahead and put it in the comments and feel free to drop a message, and I will try my best to get back to you in a timely manner. Alright, that's all I got for you guys today. See you down the road.